Now, let's go to retired Army Major General and Liberal Senator for New South Wales, Jim Molan. Jim, before we get into matters Ukraine and global strategic developments, I just want to get your thoughts on the flood response. People saying the Army response was too slow, people blaming the federal government. Give us your perspective from an Army man and a government man.
Well, my perspective, Chris, is that we should look at the facts. And the first thing that we say, and you've said it very, very well, is that the SES and the RFS are doing a magnificent job, as they always do. But none of us can make these national disasters easy. And I understand the anger and disappointment. Many years ago, I lost a house in a fire. I understand the anger and disappointment. But as of this morning, Chris, as of first thing this morning, the federal government, which can only do two things, it can give out money or it can deploy the Australian Defence Force. It had given out $282 million in disaster payments to 242,000 Australians. Now, at the moment, deployed Army Defence personnel from the three services is 2,961 deployed. Chris, there are 12 helicopters out there and 12 Australian helicopters and two Singaporean Air Force Chinooks, the big helicopters. In Lismore at the moment, and I've heard a lot of complaints about the situation in Lismore, by this stage of the day, there should be 1,263 service personnel in Lismore from the Army. And the work that the Defence Force is doing in Evans Head, Coraki, excuse the appreciation, Woodburn, Broadwater, all of these people which were difficult to get into, impossible to get into before, now that the helos have arrived, they can be flown in. And the obscene...
I'll have to cut you off there, Jim. You made the point, but I need to go on to what's happening in Ukraine. And I want to start off by playing again what I played at the top of the program, these comments yesterday from the US Secretary of State, Antony Blinken.
What more can the United States do here if, for instance, the Polish government, a NATO member, wants to send fighter jets? Does that get a green light from the U.S., or are you afraid that that will escalate tension?
No, that gets a green light. In fact, we're talking with our Polish friends right now about what we might be able to do to backfill their needs if, in fact, they choose to provide these fighter jets to the Ukrainians.
Antony Blinken there. Now, I should correct, I made a mistake at the top of the program. I raised the prospect of F-16s going to Ukraine. That's not the case. There would be Polish MiGs, so former Soviet fighters that are flown by the Poles that the Ukrainians know how to operate, would go to Poland in this, from Poland to Ukraine in this hypothetical situation. But if the US then replaced those fighters, backfilled those fighters for security in Poland, Jim Molan, would that all be seen as an additional deterrent to Russia, or could that exacerbate the situation?
Well, I think it's a very, very logical thing to do. I would be against NATO running the no-fly zone for the simple reason that a lot of the people who are asking for it have no concept about how violent this war could be, even more violent than it is at the moment, and it could sweep across populations and destroy populations. So we do not want World War III. We can achieve a no-fly zone or move towards a no-fly zone by giving these jets, as you described, Chris, giving the Sukhois and the MiGs, taking them out of Poland and giving them to the Ukraine. And at the same time, the Americans backfill with F-16s. The Poles actually make F-16s in Poland. This is the Poland is a fabulously strong, militarily strong country. So yeah, this is a good thing, good way to do it. It's the best way to do it, and hopefully we don't go anywhere near World War III.